it can be really difficult to work out a focused and good set of questions for your NEA that you're going to ask your primary users. So what we're going to do step by step is we're going to go through this and hopefully help you to write those so you can get all the wants and needs into one place and that you know what it is you're going to be using to take your project further forwards. So here you can see the design brief that I have been using throughout these videos. I want you to have a read of that and answer this question for me. Who are my two main primary users for this brief? Now, you might have said artists, it could have been elderly people with a hobby, it could have been travellers. There are lots of possibilities, but what you need to do now is think about your own brief and answer, who are the two main primary users for your own brief? I want you to be a little bit more specific now, and I want you to write down their names. And remember, you have to know your primary user for this. You can't be somebody that you don't talk to, that you don't ever see, that you haven't found yet. Ideally, it will be a family member, a friend, somebody that you can have access to often and that you can test your prototype on once you have made it. So don't pick somebody that is really, really far away and that you can't access. So the first thing we've got to do is write a profile for your primary users. It's really important that we know who your primary user is and that we can put a face to the name. So what I'm going to ask you to do is to, on your 1.3 page, create 2 boxes for your user profiles. I then want you to fill these in with the following information. So you're going to need the name, the age, location, job, and any likes that they may have. You may want to add any extra bits in that relate to your context, but as a basic, this is what we should be seeing. And most importantly, I need to see a photo. Without a photo, it's hard to really put a face to the name. And what you need to remember is the only people that are going to see this are going to be your teacher and you. So it doesn't matter how you look on this photo because it's never going to be out there for lots of people to see. So, on to writing the questions. You are going to need a minimum of 2 main primary users for your project. And what we're going to say for these is you're probably going to be writing the same questions for both. You're going to need to interview the users in real life and create either sound clips or screenshots for your portfolio. But the first thing we've got to do is write a list of questions to ask them. I am going to ask for a minimum of 8 questions. You can go up to about 10, but 8 is probably about right. It's about what people will be willing to answer before they start to feel that it's a little bit lengthy. And what you need to think about, what the difference is between a primary user and a stakeholder. You're not going to be asking them the same questions. You're going to be asking them questions about their personal problems and how they might use them. You need to ask yourself, should I be making sound clips? Now, sound clips are fantastic. They don't take up much space, but equally, if your person is reluctant to talk, you are very welcome to use screenshots through a chat app. And finally, what should you be looking to get from these questions? Now, this is the most important question of all, that what you are looking to get is a list of wants and needs, things that your primary user wants to be in the product, things that your primary user needs to be in the product. So asking questions that won't get you these answers is a little bit pointless and it could be better filled with questions that are more focused. So what I want you to do is write out one question that asks your primary user what they think about your chosen problem. Now, obviously this needs to relate to your context specifically, but for me, I would ask, do you often find yourself losing bits of equipment due to poor storage? Or do you travel with art materials often? Both of these questions are going to get you some really specific answers that are going to be able to drive your the way your product works and looks forwards. So I want you to write out one question to start with, and I want you to really investigate it and ask yourself whether that is going to get you any interesting information for your project. And once you've written it out, I want you to paste it into the box outlined in red here. So your question page will already be set up for you. But what I want you to do is make sure that you have got these questions bold and big so that you can see them. So, some potential question starters. I want you to try and write your own first. It's really important that it relates directly to your project and you are the person who best knows what your project is about. So please try and write a few questions first that relate directly to your project without my input, because the more specific you are to your project, the better. However, if you are struggling, just remember to relate your questions to your design brief. Ask a few questions about the problems they face surrounding your context and what makes it a problem for them. And then you could look at answering or asking rather, some of the questions in the boxes below. So these are all starters that you need to fill in with your own context. But you can ask things like, what problems do you currently have surrounding, and fill in your context question here. How much would you be willing to spend on a product that, again, fill in your context here. You can use these if you are really stuck for questions, but really please do try and write your own questions before you utilize these.